Last time we talked about Mars Warlogs. We talked about how it's a fine sci-fi adventure, if a little bit under-moneyed. But in my mind, there's nothing wrong with living on a budget from time to time. I accused the game of including some boring subquests. So what about the sequel then? Technomancer is the 2016 follow-up from Spiders. It's a game with substantial improvements in terms of graphical quality, depth of setting, and basic functionality. Selling multiples. It's a game I would say is so not broken that it almost isn't Eurojank anymore. It's almost just Euro. Now, let me show you how to get the game to start. Some people, a couple, like two, enough people that it's probably not a coincidence, have found that having a certain amount of computer will cause the game to, just not wanna. Not right now, maybe later. There's an old thread you might find that shows a help desk member from the publisher soliloquizing that he hopes this is not an issue with compatibility with the CPU. Oops. This line of reasoning ends like you would expect, with no closure and never being addressed again for the rest of human-measured time. Forcing my computer to start with 8 active CPUs allowed me to play the game. Some might not have the issue, some might be able to fix it with some fancy stuff like Task Manager Affinity, but if all else fails, I give you this certain fix. msconfig, limit startup cores, boom. Is this a silly problem? Yeah, probably. Would I expect it to be patched by now? Sure. Does this put us back in jank? Well, yes, but at least in a borderline cool way. Everyone loves having something that only they know how to start. Now, just fair warning that this is the last call for spoilers. You ain't gotta go home, but you can't complain here. Technomancer begins by painting its background with more explicit force, and I guess hookers, than the first game. We get a short history lesson about the time of the turmoil, where an event on a stellar scale shifted the orbit of Mars slightly closer to the sun, creating a hell-blasted deathscape the likes of which has never been seen before in 49 of the United States. The days became a crucible, sunscreen became mandatory, and the people suffered. Some of them even tripped. And died. Now this game has some flaws, but this isn't one of them. This is awesome. The last vestiges of functioning society now revolve around water companies, because they own the only thing with any value left. We step into the shoes of Technomancer, a man with 9 possible faces, I guess actually like 50,000 possible combinations if you count all the hairs and fleshes. You get initiated into the ways of the Technomancers, who are sort of like this autonomous sect of warrior batteries. Initiation for Technomancers is a field trip to a dome from the time of the first settlers. Aside from being impractical walkway storage, the dome also houses video on demand of an ancient just chatting stream. The VOD reveals a hidden truth that unifies and isolates all Technomancers. They're all mutants. Now, if you're looking for a place to jump off of this train, this is it. This is the cherry. It don't get too much better than this. This reveal slaps bass so hard that it makes the first game interesting. Actually, hang on. This merits a little explaining. Not because of bias, but because the theme of the reveal is going to come up in this game on the reg. So remember from the first game that during the catastrophe, some people mutated. They're easy to spot. They slouch. They have poor interpersonal skills. Oh, yeah, they also have the complexion of a wore-out football. At the same time, anybody, regardless of how they look, can be or give birth to a mutant. It's a textbook witch hunt, actually. The ultimate reveal from the first game is of that ilk. The leader of the old games corporation was up to a little cheeky human rights violating because he was trying to find a cure for his mutation. Here's the bow on it. You're gonna like this. Consider the following, okay? Why were the Technomancers in the first game willing to help this chubby Charles Dance guy do heinous shenanigans to find a cure for his Okay, well, what about the main character? He's like immune to peer pressure?
The doctrine says they became like that for turning their backs on God.
Sorry, kid, but I don't believe all that bullshit. I don't know why they're like that, but I'm sure there's no God behind it. Neither are they.
Now, how can he be so sure that... that's a good one, Spiders. I like it. Okay, so back to the matter at hand. So, this piece of information, it's the frat oath for Technomancers. They say a poem, they give you a little nut punch, and they tell you not to tell anybody. Cool. With graduation, they send you off to work for the military as an officer. You're tasked with maintaining order in the city, or in their exact words, smothering regime opposition. And so you go to work doling out peace with an even hand, as only a man made of death juice can. Along the way, we meet the head of the secret Gestapo police, who's curious about the way Technomancers are always so secretive, and does a very good job of saying, I am not a narc.
What's a little secret shared against a strong friendship, after all?
Well damn, he even managed to cancel his dialogue into a frame-perfect half-smile. There's really only one way to respond to acting that good.
Alas, I don't know what secret you're alluding to. I'm sorry.
With the word alas. That should settle it once and for always. Shortly afterwards, we're informed of our impending court-martial on account of cangified charges, all organized by, well, none other. All of the choices you made executing your orders up to this point are examined. For example, showing mercy and letting people escape into exile. This first place is where choices feel the most impactful in the game because they're acknowledged, and the people you spare tend to show up later on. You're stopped short by your party on the way to the tribunal because there's no chance you're getting out of there without being found guilty. Together, you take a rover and flee the city. I mentioned the impact of choice, so let's take a quick break and get into that. Choices, or role-playing I guess, in this game comes from charisma, crafting, and science, which gives you access to context chat options. There doesn't seem to be much point in specializing because within minutes of being alive in this game, you can pick up coats off the ground that offer a 1-point bonus in all of these categories. Whoosh! I'm a doctor now. Be healed, fool! A little later, your companions will also grant bonuses, making it possible to max a category on demand by swapping to one of them. Most of the time, these context chats are simply options to allow you to complete your task without bribing or beating up the person you are questing at. Plus, to complete the whole coat swapping thing, most of these things don't put you on the spot. You can just say, hang on 1 minute, let me get dressed. Since money pretty much solved every dispute I could find, I mostly just ran around in this cool biker jacket I found, because it gave me 1 extra in lockpicking. Which, speaking of lockpicking, I don't know how most role-playing games deal with breaking into every locked container in the entire world, but this game seems to have abolished the concept of ownership. This is your chest, right? No? Okay. You madam. You who seem to be owning this house at the moment. I hope you ain't attached to this shit. This guy is a crime boss. He's a crime boss and he's looking right at me, and now his fine china is in my pants. What is going on here? What's the one above petty larceny? Is it Costco larceny? Is that the one? So yeah, the impact of choice, not a strong point. We relocate to a hidden city of merchants with an Arabic flair, where we regroup and earn our keep by doing odd jobs for the local prince. This is the middle part of the game, shuffling around with your crew, solving mysteries, and handling parking tickets. While you're doing errands, you find time to break back into the same city you just fled from, because your brother Technomancers are under arrest. Turns out the secret police are really into learning secrets. Go figure. The escape of your people is made possible by the sacrifice of the Great Master, and with his death as a tailwind, they mount a ferocious battle for freedom. This cola's missing something. You're gonna be doing most of the killing this game yourself. Good thing the combat system is expanded a lot from the first game, with 3 different quick switchable weapons, each with their own skill trees. Now if you look around, a regular complaint in every review is gonna be, you will need to use a 4-to-1 dodge to attack ratio. Casools. I'm kidding, that opinion is valid. The reason people feel that way is the game's troubled, suicide-packed marriage with telegraphing. We go from regular swings with plenty of communication, maybe even sometimes over-communication, to instant cast. It's a returning feature from the last game. You hit someone enough, they become unhittable, and when they're in this state, they're about to throw out a fast, difficult to react to swing, so you might as well just dodge away. While that's going on, you got another returning feature from the first game. Everyone in this game is strapped and they are trying to smoke you right now. So many guns. More guns than should be reasonable in a world that arms you with a staff. This is one of the first bosses. And he wants peace. Damn. No wonder people feel like they have to dodge non-stop. The devs probably had a similar experience while they were making it because the weapon trees offer passives that give you a chance to automatically dodge while you're attacking. I could see why you would want that. Here's a tip, there's an easy, widely available, cheap solution to nerf combat if you find yourself wanting to skip it. It's bombs, and it's not a dialogue option, but it's also my favorite dialogue option. You do some errands for everybody, and then eventually the secret police sneaks plainclothes officers into Agrabah. As a finale, we seek refuge in a hidden valley of mutants, help them resolve an internal conflict over their leadership, spearhead an espionage operation to expose Baron Underbite's dirty dealings and get him exiled, and then go to an ancient dome we discovered under the ice caps in order to try and reconnect with Earth. It might seem like I've just described a lot of stuff, but that's at most the last 15% of the game. Oh, pacing issues, you say, and I'm able to hear through the internet and time. Maybe. There are a bit too many moments in the middle that feel disposable, redundant. You thought that line about parking tickets was a joke, but that's a real quest. You really do get asked to move your broke down rover so that the city can remain secret, and it really do play out exactly like this. Hey, be a lad and give us a tow, yeah? Why should I help you? I'm a mutant. I've been beaten 3 times since lunch.
I understand why you're angry, but none of that has anything to do with me. Do you think people are any nicer to Technomancers?
This is what charisma looks like. And then he says, yeah, I'll work for 12 hours unpaid and move it for you. Hi. It's me, the player. Why was I bedraggled with this? This type of stuff inevitably involves you walking out to inconveniently placed merchants or all the way back to the top of your old city. That's why I think you'll see people say that the game needs quick travel, because it's a regular thing, being told, go talk to all the merchants. It's a 3-minute round trip, so you should pack a snack. The big picture with this game is it needs an editor. An editor will tell you, you should probably only focus on the most interesting parts of your story. Even if it's a side quest, try to provide an aspect of discovery, something the audience didn't already know. I think people would probably have fewer issues with the backtracking or quick travel if the resolution to all of it was more worthwhile. Otherwise, you're just chasing tumbleweeds. The plot point to send the turtleneck guy packing is a whole grocery list. You prove he hired hookers to spy on politicians, you instigate a mutant breakout so he looks bad, you talk to the clergy, you do a lot of stuff. And all that work to give him the boot, and this is the entire payoff. And it's all pointless anyway because he just goes to the final area to fight you there. There's plenty of cool side paths here, and the world of Mars is more vividly crystallized in this game than before. They even include little side quests to address one of the questions I mentioned last time. All the wildlife on Mars is mutated specimens brought from Earth. Cool. But for every resolved thread that gives an insight, like the doctor's, I made some of you trying to fix my son, there's another, hey, it's Dave! Dave is my favorite character. I let Dave live because he was always making fun of his co-workers. Dave, come back to the party, man. Join us.
Dave!
Dave?
Dave!
Dave?
Dave!
Dave was never seen alive again. It's funny because after finishing Mars Warlogs, I thought, if they had brought the scope of this game in a bit, they could have polished it all a bit more, and they wouldn't have had quite so much uninteresting stuff. And then in this game, the scope is even bigger, and so every so often it gets spread so thin that it's see-through.